Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a reading vlog for The Poppy War by rfkuang. I have been really into this book lately. I'm only 30 pages into it, but I basically decided to read this because after finishing my previous book, Cinder, I was in a kind of a funk. I didn't know what to read, so I did the Try a Chapter challenge. If you checked out my latest video, that's what it was all about. And it came down to me reading this book because I just loved everything about the first chapter. It was exciting, it was intriguing. I loved the main character and all of her quirks, and just excited to see where the story is headed in general. And I know this is very much one of the most hyped fantasy books on the internet, besides A Court of Thorns and Roses. But I'm excited to see, you know, does it live up to the hype? Is it really that worth it? Like, I know there's mixed opinions on like every book you read about, but this one generally I've heard is really, really well done. So, 500 pages of pure fantasy, amazing characterization, and a lot of other things I hope to see in this book. So anyway, enough rambling, let's get on with this. I might as well do a chapter update because I have read one chapter already. Chapter 1, page... I don't even know the page number. This chapter was long as hell. So far, so good. What I love is that we really get a great sense of who Rin is at this point. We get a great start to her character, and we can only see great things, hopefully, from here on out. I like that she's very quirky. You know, she's very much, you know, the stereotypical, not like other girls trope, but you know what? We all like to see it. You can complain as much as you want. It is a great trope to have because she is different from all the other people who, you know, strive to get married, have children, you know, gain a fortune from their husbands, yada, yada, but she wants something more for her life. She does not want to get married. She wants to become her own person. And that's what I like about her character so far. I like that she's pretty witty and sometimes quite sarcastic. It's pretty funny. Like, so far, we've had an interaction between her, Auntie Fang, and then the matchmaker. And it was funny because when she initially met the matchmaker, she's like, oh my God, my aunt and uncle are going to sell me to a brothel as a prostitute. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, no. It was so funny. But then the aunt was like, dude, no, you're getting set up with the matchmaker, not her. It was just really funny just to see her interactions. Her interactions with people are really comical at times. It can break some of the really dense conversations in terms of the world building. But so far what we got is that, you know, she's been studying really hard to get into the academy, and she's met the tutor Fayek. And so far he's been helping her, giving her books and resources to study, and she's actually made it to the academy at this point at Singyard. Singyard. That's what it was. And that's where the chapter leaves off. Okay, let's continue. god. Chapter 3, page 42, update. I know I just updated, but like, holy crap. Rin punched one of the other students in the face after he insulted Tutor Fayek. And oh my gosh, I literally got like the Anya and Damien moment from Spy Family. I was like, this is literally gonna play out the exact same. It's gonna be so funny because you have an orphan who's like not as wealthy, who's more lower class compared to like the rich warlord's son. And it's like, oh my god, it's literally the exact same thing and I'm living for it. And basically the apprentice comes in and stops them and he says, "Ah, shut it. You're at a military academy. You have plenty opportunities to kill each other throughout the year, but save it until after orientation, won't you?" And that's where the chapter ends. I was like, oh my gosh, bro. It was just so funny. Yeah, let's just see what else happens. I literally just updated you just because she punched him in the face. Yeah. Okay, it might be loud because I'm outside, but update on the Poppy War. I'm on chapter 5 now, page 85. A couple things. I literally calling it out that Neza and Rin's relationship is very much like Anya and Damien's from Spy Family. To the T. I swear, just because they bicker the way they do, and just like their social class like representations is very similar to theirs. And recently, what we just read about, in literally the last page, they fought during a training exercise where they were paired up, and basically Neza wasn't following instructions about like which moves to do with her, and basically kept attacking her, and she was injured because she didn't block properly or whatever, or she didn't know, or she just couldn't block. And essentially he got suspended for a week, and then the master apprentice guy, he was telling her like, I don't want to see you set foot in my training rooms or touch any of the weapons or any of that. And he literally just kicked her out and just called her out for being a peasant, saying she will be worth nothing because of that. And it's just, it's hard. Like, how do you recover from that? I feel so bad for her. Like, this is the kind of moment where you have like really flawed characters in the beginning and then hopefully have really great character development moving forward. Like, obviously, since she's the main character, she's gonna have a lot of growth, but I'm just expecting some like really intense scenes with her. Just see like how she shows everyone up, especially the teacher and Neza. I just can't wait to see that. Okay, let's continue reading. Okay, chapter update on the Poppy War. I'm on chapter 7 of page 130. A lot of things went down. So, you know, like I said last time, Rin had that dispute with the martial arts instructor, June, I think. And he basically kicked her out, expelled her from that class. And so then it's happened where she just started seeing blood on her bed sheets. I was like, what? And then it was just her period. And so basically, to avoid all that, she was just like, you know, I'm gonna take a medicinal drink to basically stop it permanently. I was like, girl, then the guy basically told her you will not be able to have children. Her choice, she clearly did that, but we bypassed that later on, and she starts to pick up on her lessons that she missed, and she starts doing really well, top of her class, which I'm really proud of her. We're starting to see that arc development in her character. And then, you know, the whole thing about this lore instructor, Jiang, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Anyway, apparently we got some little tidbits of information about him. So apparently Atlin, the star pupil, pledged his apprenticeship to him, the lore master, but ultimately he rejected him at one point and then went to the strategist guy. I forgot his name. Irja, I think that's his name. And no one really knows why. And then one day while Rin's training or attempting to train with martial arts, Jiang comes and shows up and says, you know what, I'll teach you, but you need to carry the pig, Sunzi, up and down the mountain every day to help him drink water, get fat, and all that. It was kind of funny. And she gets stronger. And then we see at the end, he's like, you should pledge your apprenticeship to me. So because it's a dying art and not many people know it, and it's just interesting to see like he's really taking an interest in her side of the education and wants her to pursue that because no one else except Atlin did. And then he ends off the chapter saying, "Sir, I just want to be a good soldier." Jiang's face fell. You and the rest of the school. I feel like he's disappointed in her. Like, he's probably one of those people who is like really off at face front, but he's like one of like the best instructors or like the most wisest people and has weird methods of doing so. That's just my impression of the guy. Anyway, I feel like the way Rin's character is going is very similar to Atlin's because he very much equates her to him, but I'm excited to see if she deviates from that path in some way and actually does choose the lore apprenticeship, which would be interesting. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see what she does. Let's continue. Okay, update. I just completed part 1. I'm on chapter 10 now, page 219 of the Poppy War. A lot of things happened. So where I left off, I said that Rin had just stopped speaking, or like the lore master stopped speaking to her. So from that point on, okay, first things first. She entered the tournament, basically her final examinations to determine where she would do her apprenticeship with, and the tournament happened. Obviously, it's pretty predictable. She's going to win, become victorious in it, and obviously the final battle was between her and Nezha, and she won. But it was interesting because at the end, you know, they were pummeling each other, bloody and everything, and I was like, oh my god, did she kill him in the end? But she didn't. I'm glad. So she didn't have that like burden weight on her shoulders that she killed someone. But eventually she had to do the examinations, the oral ones where she speaks to the other masters after they asked her a couple of questions, and they basically came down to where she eventually did choose to do the apprenticeship with the lore master, Jiang. And it was interesting because I was hoping she would do it with him, and she did. Because she is kind of on this journey where she is very much obsessed with power. She gained this ability after fighting with Neza that she just couldn't understand. And the lore master basically said, I will give you the answers that you were looking for, but you need to do your apprenticeship with me. And that's just basically what happened during that time. And then we actually see her first interaction with Atlan, which was actually really interesting because she popped in on him like exercising or training in the gardens of the lore master's area. And it was interesting to find out that Atlan actually wanted to apprenticeship under him, but the Empress intervened because he's a Spearly and made him basically apprenticeship under the strategist master instead. So I'm wondering if we're going to see more of him involved in Rin's journey, which I'm really hoping to see. I want to see more of him, but they said he graduated now, since now she's in her second year and whatnot. What I'm missing so far is like all we're just getting is just her lessons and her day-to-day activities with the lore master, but I want to see her interact with more people because although it's fun and interesting to see them banter from time to time, I want to see her friends come into play, her reaction or her new, I don't know, interactions with Atlan if that comes about. But right now, it seems like her character is slowly going in the opposite way of what I was hoping to go, because she's becoming very, very power hungry. But the whole point of her choosing this apprenticeship was for her to like contain her power and her rage and like just learn to control it nonetheless. But it seems like after having that kind of vision of like the gods or something, or seeing this woman who looked like Atlan, she's like, I just want to know how I can get more power. That's like her ultimate goal at this point. So I'm wondering how the rest of this book is going to play out, considering I am a little less than halfway through it. Honestly, so much has went down. Considering it's very fast-paced, I like it. But so much has already happened, and there's clearly a lot more that is yet to come. So, yeah, let's see what else comes up.
I never wanted again.
Okay, update on the Poppy War. I am into, I think I mentioned it, part 2. Well into it. I'm on chapter 15, page 323. A lot has went down. First and foremost, the war has basically begun between the Federation and Nikon. And yeah, Rin, I told you, she defeated Neza, and the whole battle happened where her and Neza had to fight to save like the gates or something of the east part of the Sinyard or something. That happened, and basically Rin used some like really interesting ability that just caused everyone to freak out, because now they're suspecting, oh my god, she's a Spearly. And so basically, instead of fighting with the typical regiments that the other warlords would be a part of, she is sent off to the 13th division, which is run by Atlan. I was like, well, this is interesting. I've been wanting to see him and her have more interactions together, and this is what we're gonna get. And so they've met, and he's actually the commander, because like the previous commander, Tyre, he's dead. Something happened to him, he's gone, so now Atlan's in charge. And you can very much see him as a leader, because, you know, everyone pretty much respects him, listens to him. He's like the voice of reason in the group. But here's the thing, he's like very different from academy days. Like, he'd be so quiet, very emotionless, didn't really care about anyone else. But like now all of a sudden, I guess because he's kind of found like his people who do the same thing he does and are very much alike in that sense, he has a sense of belonging, so he's, I guess, more outgoing, just a bit, not a lot though. But with Rin, you could see he's actually smiles, like he interacts with her for real. So that's where I'm at. And where we just left off is that they had this mini like battle at the ocean where a bunch of ships from the enemy were trying to dock and relieve supplies to the shoreline to, you know, help their cause or whatever. But the 13th Division with Atlan and all them, they tried to destroy that whole plan. So they basically didn't kill them, but they like took away their supplies or something. They did something crazy. Nonetheless, Rin tried to use her ability like Atlan, but she can't. And basically it ended off the scene with Rin being all confused, like, how come he can do it so well and I can't? And so she asked him about it, and he's like, gave her this like super ambiguous, like unhelpful answer that's just like supposed to add to the mystery behind the world building, which is interesting and all, but like, we just want answers, okay? Just get to the point. So that's kind of just where I'm at. I'm excited to read more, and I think the next time I'll update you will be around page 400, because I can't keep updating every 5 pages. It's a lot. Anyway, let's continue. So I have officially reached part 3, about page 419 of the book so far. I haven't even finished the chapter yet because something really extreme happened. Atlan, I thought he was like a decent person, you know, he's just rough around the edges, someone just very introverted, not really able to express himself to many people or connect in any way. And yet, because he's commander, he has a lot of burdens to shoulder. Obviously, a lot of stress that comes with that role. But like, dude, he's like almost extreme. Like the way he treats Rin when he's like really pissed off. Like when his lieutenant, second command guy, he comes in, like he explains to Rin like why he's acting this way, because he's never been like faulted before. He's always been in that mindset like he always wins no matter what. But still, like the guy is like, he slapped her. I was like, I did not expect this out of him. So everything's like, oh my gosh, I hope it's just him and he's just not thinking straight and that he will redeem himself a bit more. But like where he's at right now, it's not okay. Regardless of his and his personal characterization, where we are in the book is that basically the 13th Company basically left the town of Coeur d'Alene and they went to, what's it called? I forgot the name of the place. But basically they interrogated the prisoner after Rin and the lieutenant guy went into her mind to figure out why she had this blockage. And they said, like they revealed some hints about the future. And they said the real target of the Federation wasn't Coeur d'Alene, the port city, but it was Golden-Nies. I think that's how you pronounce it. And so they ran to that city. And when they reached there, it was decimated, leveled to the ground, corpses everywhere. It was horrible. And I'm not even finished the chapter. Like, and what Rin discovered is that the 2nd Division was there, and that was Kitay's company, her friend from the academy. And I was like, oh, I'm so sad. But eventually he found out like he was alive. They were just hiding what few of them remained. And that's just where we are. They're just briefing the 13th Company and their commanders about like what just went down. So I have a little more than 100 pages left of the book. I will probably finish it tonight. First read of September actually. Pretty awesome. But honestly, it's going really well. I don't think I've actually expressed how much I like this book, but you know what? It is really good. I just think at times, especially in the beginning portion, it was a lot of info dumping portions, but I guess, you know, that's just the thing with high fantasy because it's a lot of new and original content. being released to people, like you have to be a bit info-dumpy about things, but you know what, it's okay. I like that how they go about it because it's not like super boring, but at the same time it can be a lot. But I'm excited to see how this ends, and yeah, let's continue. I have officially finished The Poppy War by rfkuang. It was a really good read. It's not a full 5. I think general rating, I will give it about 4.5 to 4.75 out of 5 stars. For me, it was really well done, but it wasn't like it got me in the gut. Like, you just know it's a 5-star when you feel it. This one, it wasn't at that level, but it was pretty close. And then I realized, like, this is her debut novel. I was like, whoa. This is really well done for a debut novel. It's incredible. For me, the aspects of this book that I did not particularly like, I mean, maybe it'll change later on because it is generally the first book anyway, is the fact that a lot of the power of the Spearlies, they say, are fueled by rage. And that's how they summon the Phoenix, or like use its abilities to fight. And that's like, I know it probably will change. Like, rage and anger shouldn't be your driving force for power or to become stronger, right? Like, there should be something a bit more meaningful or something not as negative in that sense. Like, and I know it sounds cliche, but people say love should be the source of all power or whatever, or like the belief to be stronger, you know, something more enlightening, not something like anger and rage, something that just holds you back for so long because you're stuck on vengeance and all these things. That's just one aspect that I just didn't particularly like, but you know what? Everything else was really solid. Things we learned in literally the last 100 pages of the book was more backstory on Atlan, which I'm happy to see because he was very vague every now and then. Like, all we knew is that he was the last of the Spearlies. We found out Atlan himself was actually an experiment, and he was basically the last to survive of his clan. And it was so sad because the Empress herself sold out Rin and Atlan because they went to go to the mountain of Churukorik. So I forgot how they pronounce it. Anyway, that place where a lot of the gods were imprisoned. And who did they find? They found Jiang himself, the master of lore. And guess what? He was the gatekeeper. It was funny because in the beginning of the book, when he was introduced, like, usually characters who are very vague, mysterious, and sometimes are seen as more the outcast outliers usually hold a much more profound meaning in some cases. And I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, imagine he's like one of these 3 trifecta people. That would be hilarious. And then what happened? He was actually the gatekeeper this entire time. So that was funny. And then we move on later on to find out that he didn't want to be released. He wanted to stay in the prison that he put himself in. And yet Atlan and Rin then released Phelan, one of the other gods who were imprisoned there, and now they're loose. And the Empress sold them out, like I said. And so that's where the Federation found them and took them back into the lab where they tried to experiment on Rin and Atlan. And it was really sad because Atlan has been like addicted to heroin or no, it was not morphine. Cocaine. It was cocaine, yeah. So he was addicted to it for so long because it kept feeding it to him to suppress his rage and emotion. So that's why he was so much in check with his abilities, because he was fed that all the time, which is really sad. And then we get to the end of the book where they decide, you know, Rin and Atlan should go back to the Spearly Island to go summon the Phoenix, because the Federation, they did all sorts of disgusting things, like I said with Venka, which was so sad. And long story short, it was really sad. Atlan basically kind of sacrificed himself so Rin could go on her own and just while he distracts the enemy, and she goes to summon the Phoenix. That was like definitely one of the most emotional. I didn't cry, but like it's emotional. So what I liked about Atlan's redemption arc, okay, here's the thing, it's not necessarily a redemption arc. I feel like in the middle, because he was held in such a high commanding position, he made a lot of mistakes. He did a lot of hurt, especially to Rin. And what I liked is that even though it wasn't considered like a real redemption arc, I found that what he did in the end sort of atoned for some of his actions, and that Rin really did get to know him for who he was and how he came to be like that. And I feel like there's a much bigger understanding between the two now. And I just hope that, you know what, hopefully what I've learned is that if you do not see the body, that doesn't mean they're dead. So for all we know, he's still alive, which I'm assuming he is, because they still haven't found his body. And Kara's brother said he couldn't sense that he had died. Like he would be able to sense him in the spirit realm or something, but he wasn't there. So lo and behold, I'm assuming he's alive. Okay, that was such a long rant. Anyway, so yeah, overall rating 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it was really good. I actually do enjoy this. Okay, here's the thing. The Dragon Republic is the next book. It is almost 700 pages in the same paperback edition. That's a very long book. But if I see it at Indigo the next time I go there, you know what? I'll buy it. I'm not against it. I'm excited to see where the story is particularly headed and, you know, what happens. So yeah. That was the reading vlog on the Poppy War. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for my next reading vlog.